Welcome to Excel 2010 Business Math. Hey, if you want to download this workbook, 135 Chapter 00, click on the link below the video. If you're in the class, go to our class website. Now, I do want to show, since this is the first video for Business 135 Business Math at Highline Community College, I want to show you how to download these files. Now, if you click on the link below the video, you get to this screen here, and you have to scroll way down. This has all the videos I have at YouTube. Scroll way down. There's different sections. There's statistics. There's statistics 2010 finance. Business math, that's not the one. That's 2003 and 7. The one we want is business math, to Excel 2010 business math. There it is. There's only one file. If you're on our class website, you go to Business 135, and you click on the link for Chapter 00. Now, I'm just shooting the first video here. These links will appear as the quarter goes on. If you're in, I'm shooting this in fall 2011, so if you're taking it after that, these should all be live links. I'm going to click here. There'll always be some instructions. You download all the files, open the files, click on the video and watch it, and complete the project as seen in the video. The videos are not here yet because I'm still shooting the first one. Now I'm going to show you how to download. I'm going to right-click Save Target As. And then the Save As dialog box comes up. Now I'm using Windows 7, so my user interface may be different than yours. Now in this class, you're going to need to select a location, either your plug-in jump drive or USB drive or your laptop. I'm going to select the desktop, but I'm definitely going to create a new folder. I'm going to either use this button right here, New Folder, or if you don't have that, you can right-click on this side, point to New, and then Folder. And I'm going to name it something like Business 135. And then I'm going to have this folder, and I'm going to save all of my files throughout the quarter, because there's going to be a lot of files in this class. Save them all to one place. That way, when I need to reference them later for homework or for a test, I can do that. That's the name I want to use, so I'm going to click Save. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I've got to show you something important. Now, I have that on the desktop, so you could go to the desktop and double-click the folder. But you may have this button if you have Windows 7. This is Windows Explorer. If you don't, there's a great keyboard shortcut, Window E, which allows you to navigate through all of the files, drives, and folders on your computer. The Window key is between the Control and Alt keys. It kind of looks like the Microsoft icon, Windows. You hold Window and E, and that opens up Windows Explorer. Whoops. I want it like that. And then you can navigate wherever you are. So if you have your jump drive, then you can navigate over here. I'm going to click on the desktop, and then you can look through your folders. There's Business 135, so I'm going to double-click it, and then I'm going to open this, double-click. Now here's our Excel workbook. There's our file name. Now we've got to talk about an introduction to Excel. That's what this video is all about. Now I'm going to take my cursor, and there's a bunch of tabs down here called Sheet tabs, and I'm going to click on the Topics Sheet tab here. These are the videos, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And there should be there's about 9 videos in this introduction to Excel. Week 1 of the class, Chapter 00, I'm calling it. There's nothing in the textbook. This is all just videos in this Excel workbook. There's even some homework in this Excel workbook at the end, which I'll show you. OK, so here's some of the topics we're going to cover throughout the videos in Chapter 00. Now I'm going to click over here on the sheet. I'm going to take my mouse. And I know some of you are brand new to Excel. There's actually no prerequisite of Excel for this class. But the great news is, once you see how unbelievably fast and to make business math calculations and how easy it is to set things up in Excel compared to how you would do it by hand, you'll be glad we're doing it this way. Now I clicked on that sheet, and I can see everything here. Excel is the name of that sheet. Now, what is Excel? Excel broadly does 2 things. It makes calculation, and it does data analysis. Now, 99% of what we do in this class is going to be calculations, right? Business math. We're going to be doing calculations. We're going to be doing things like calculating how much an investment is worth, what our pension is worth, what an invoice amount should be, what a discount for paying an invoice early should be. So calculations. Now I'm going to show you just briefly two examples of calculating and data analysis. Now here we have some a data set. Here's some minutes listed, and we need to add all of these minutes to get a total. Now next video is our introduction to formulas, but I'm going to show you two formulas here. Now notice I have clicked in the cell below, and one hint throughout these workbooks, all the cells that have formulas will have this green color, and all the data will be just no color like that. Now we have a little, I click in this cell right here, and then this is the home ribbon. And up here is the sigma button. That means to add. So I'm going to click on it. And what it does is it puts in our first formula. And notice there's an equal sign as the first character in the cell. All formulas will have that, including functions. This is called the sum function. It's a built-in function that makes our life easy. We don't have to add each number up individually, right? We just use the built-in sum function. Our function has to be looking at cells. So it's looking at this range of cells right here, so it knows what numbers to enter. Now, the reason we use Excel and we do all our calculations in Excel is that was fast, right? If we knew to click here and then click on that button, it'll add them. All right, now I'm going to hit Enter. So it adds them, 182. But here's the real reason that we use Excel. I'm going to click back here, double click. I'll show you a better way to do that later. Actually, F2 puts the formula in edit mode. And by the way, I'll always have a list of keyboard shortcuts as we go through our videos. Now, the real reason that we use Excel is because these numbers right here, they could change. And the two people, Bricklin and Frankston, who invented the first spreadsheet in 1979 called VisiCalc, they had this idea. They knew that if they entered numbers into their calculator, if they had to change one of the inputs, they'd have to change like a number 35 to 80 and then re-enter all of the numbers. So they're the ones that thought up the spreadsheet. You put the numbers in the spreadsheet, make a formula that calculates. When you hit Enter, then it's easy to change what are called formula inputs. So if I click here, watch this. I'm going to type 80. Now notice I didn't hit delete. You don't have to hit delete if you're in the cell and you start typing. It will automatically replace it. Now watch this. Before I hit Enter, watch that number. Instantly updates. And that's why you use Excel. You know, if you're out there doing taxes or adding up sales for the month or doing your financial calculations, that's what's so amazing. All right. Brief example of data analysis. Now we're not going to be doing, we're basically going to be doing no data analysis in this class. And I actually should, I'm kind of jumping around. I want to click on this, what's called a data ribbon. I'll come back to the ribbons in just a moment. Data. Now here's a data set. It says minutes, and then there's some numbers listed here. Now, if you're going to use data analysis features like sorting or filtering or pivot tables, which we're basically not going to do, you got to click in one cell, and the data set has to have a name at the top that says what's in this column, stuff in the column, and a space all the way around it. And then you click in one cell and click either A to Z, which will bring the smallest numbers to the top, or Z to A. That's pretty amazing to be able to sort like that. Again, this class we don't do much data analysis. Some of my other classes, statistics, finance, Excel, straight Excel classes, we do lots of data analysis. Now, okay, our introduction to Excel, we said Excel can do calculations and data analysis. Now let's talk a little bit about how Excel is set up. If I click on this home ribbon tab or this insert or this page layout, you can see lots of features. Now this class, you are required to have Excel 2007 or 10 to be in this class. So that's the way they have it set up. In earlier versions, they had menus. Now in this class, we're basically going to be using the formulas and the home. Now, one other thing about this class is I'm going to be using a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and I'm going to teach them to you and use them every single day. So every single week we get together, we do a new chapter. You know, we have 5 to 10 new videos, and in every video I'll keep using the same keyboard shortcuts over and over. Now, why in the world would I do that? Someone tell me out there. Oh, Yeah, no, I heard someone say, because they're faster. Keyboard shortcuts are faster. You know, if you go to your job and you're really good in Excel and you know keyboard shortcuts because you're so fast, they will love you. The other reason, you know, we mentioned over here, why do we use Excel? It is fast because it's easy. You know, we click on that button. It's updatable. But the other third reason is that basically every job in the business world that you go to, in the job description somewhere it says must know Excel. And if you go into that job interview and know Excel well, and you know, and oftentimes they'll give you an Excel test, they will hire you, or you have a much better chance of being hired because you're good at Excel, right? It seems so simple that everyone would do it, but not everyone does it. If you go out there and look in the working world, there's lots of people who are supposed to know Excel and don't. So if you know Excel really well, that kind of gives you an edge. All right, so ribbons. And you click on, you know, if you want to add bold to this, you could click there. Or if you wanted to change the color, right, you could. Now, I want to undo this. Now, this is called the QAT, the Quick Access Toolbar up here. Buttons, and then there's buttons. Now, I could use this, but again, I'm going to use keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcut for save is Control-S. The keyboard shortcut for undo is Control-Z. Now, look at this. In 2007, it's cool. 2007 and 10, they put the keyboard shortcut. So if you hover your cursor and there is a keyboard shortcut, it'll tell you there's Control-B, there's Control-Z. So I'm always going to use Control-Z. I'm going to Control-Z, Z. So there we go. So Quick Access Toolbar and ribbons. Again, we're not going to be using much anything but the home ribbon. And again, we're going to do lots of keyboard shortcuts. Now, how is Excel set up? Well, right here, what letter is that? That's C. That means this whole column is called C. This whole column is called B. So columns are always going to be up and down, right? A column is up and down, and they're going to be represented by letters. Now, rows, you can see the 5 right there, the 8 right there. Rows are always going to be numbers, and they're going to be left to right. So if you're entering data, you're entering it left to right in the row. Now, what's a cell, right? This cell right here is called what? C6. Now, you can see it's C6 because of the orange there, but you can also look up in the name box. Now, look at this. I'm going to put my cursor. Oh, the screen tip tells me it's a name box, so it's C6. Now, notice the column reference always comes first, and then the row reference, C6. Now, here's another little fun trick. If you ever have to go to C6, you could click in the name box, type C6, and when you hit Enter, watch my cursor is right here. It jumps right to C6. So really what a cell is the intersection of a row and column. Now, all the cells in the worksheet, and there's a lot of cells in the worksheet. In fact, if you wanted to see, you could click right here and try this. This is a keyboard shortcut, and I have it listed down here. Control down arrow. Now, notice it jumped to the last bit of data. But below cell A18, there's nothing. So if there's stuff, it just jumps to the end of the stuff. But if you control down arrow and there's not, oh, well, there's some more stuff, so it jumped to the next stuff. But if you control arrow here, oh, it jumps down there. Control arrow, control. Now, if I get down where there's no more stuff, if I control arrow, whoa, it goes to the bottom. There's like 1,000,000 rows. Now, I want to jump up to the top, and I want to go back to A1, so I'm going to use Control Home. Now, Home key, some of you may have never used them, or the N key, or the page up, page down. We'll use all these keys. They're called navigation keys. And depending on your keyboard, you may have to search for them. I have a standard desktop keyboard. And in between the regular keyboard with all the letters and space bar and the number pad, there's something called navigation, arrows, and home, and page up, page down. So now I'm going to try Control Home. Pretty convenient if you're way down a sheet. Now, there's a lot of cells, right, in this sheet. This worksheet, we're really not going to use all the cells. In fact, if you did use all 1,000,000 cells, it would make the spreadsheet really slow to open and really slow to calculate. All right, so what are all the cells called? Well, of course, it's called a worksheet. So all the cells called a worksheet. Now, oftentimes, I'll just say sheet. That's the synonym for worksheet. Now, what are these down here? We already saw we could take our cursor and click on them. These are the names of the worksheet. So if I click right here on the Excel to get to the Excel sheet or worksheet, that's called a sheet tab. So the sheet tab is just going to be the name of the worksheet. Now, at any time, you can you're going to be doing homework, creating your own workbooks. You can double click, give it a name. I'm not going to hit enter. I'm going to click escape, right? But I could come here and call this DDD and then enter. No, I don't want to do that. Excel, the undo doesn't work on the sheet tabs. All right, so you can see how easy it is to name them. Now, so these are all of the sheet tabs with the names of the sheet. So if I click on formatting or formulas, that'll be for our next video right here. Then I can do whatever I want on this sheet. Now, there's going to be a lot of worksheets in these workbooks that you download. They're not only going to have the sheets that you work on to complete the video project, but there'll always be an answer also. So formulas here, this will be our second video. We'll have to do some calculations. Well, there'll always be the answer right next to it. So there's going to be a lot of sheet tabs and worksheets. We got to learn how to navigate through them. Now, you can use your arrows over here. Now, watch this. This sheet is called the active sheet. It's on Excel. But watch when I click on this arrow here. Notice it moved the sheets over here. And if I keep clicking, uh-oh, I can't even see the active sheet. Notice there's more sheets being exposed. Now, I can get, there's just lots of them. Look, here's the homework. Right? For chapter 0, there's nothing in the textbook. So I'm actually, when we get to the last video, I'll say, now you can go do your homework. Now, how do I go the other direction? I do this. And I can just see all the sheets. There's the active sheet. Now, this one jumps all the way to the end, so I can see the last sheet. And this one jumps all the way to the beginning. Now, that's pretty handy, these arrows here. But you know what's even handier? What if we could move the active sheet and move the view of the sheets? Control. Right here, control page down, control page up. So this is the active sheet. Control page down. Whoa, it moves the active sheet. And when I get to other sheets over here that are not exposed, it'll unexpose them. So I'm going to control page up. Now, I can never remember which one is down and up. I always think this is up, but it's really down. So if you forget, just try one, and if it's going the wrong way, then do the other. All right, so what are all these sheets? All the sheets together are called the workbook. So the definition of a workbook is all the sheets. Now, the workbook, if there's all the sheets, then this file name is the name of the workbook. And using that word workbook in our test instructions and things like that, I'll say, get your Excel workbook file. Right? So this is the name of the workbook. The workbook is all of the sheets. The sheet tabs are the names. A sheet or a worksheet is all the cells. A cell is the intersection of a row and column. All right, now we looked at the scroll arrows there. Moves the sheets, but not the active sheet. We saw how to do the keyboard shortcut right there. Save. I'll just briefly mention this because sometimes you may want to save or do save as. Now, normally we could go up to the file, and there's save and save as. The keyboard shortcut for save is S. The keyboard shortcut for save as is F12. Now, what does Control S do? If I Control S, now watch my cursor here. Control S, see that little hourglass? It actually saves the changes. So the file that I have saved in my folder on the desktop just got all of these changes that I did here. If I hit F12, that's save as. Now, the reason you use this is that you could then change the name. So sometimes if you want duplicates of your file, you save as and type a new name here, click save, and it will actually create a second file. All right, I'm going to close this. I'm not going to save as. We already saw how to create folders when downloading. Last couple things in this Intro to Excel video, I want to talk about entering data. Now, we want to look at the difference between words and numbers. I'm going to type Excel. Now, instead of hitting Enter, because I know I want to move to the side and put another word here, I'm going to use the Tab key. And then I'm going to type Fun. Now I'm going to hit Enter. Now, when you hit Enter, it goes down. Now, what it's trying to do is guess. Since I entered data this way, it thinks I want to come down here and then enter data this way. So I'm going to type 43, Tab, and then 3, enter. All right, so there's some notes again down here. For entering data, we saw if you enter something and type some data and hit enter, it goes down. If you type some data and hit tab, it goes to the side. Another keyboard shortcut, and we'll do this later in the class, is if I want to add 66 and I want to put this in the cell, but I immediately want to do something like format it. Instead of enter or tab, I can hold Control and hit enter. It keeps the cell selected and then puts the thing in the cell. Notice tab, enter, and control enter, their job is to put something into the cell. But the differences amongst those keyboard shortcuts is direction that the cursor ends up. Now, you would do this if you immediately want to like format it. Maybe you wanted to add bold. How did I do that? Control B. Or maybe you wanted to add a border, something like this for accounting. Right, if I click over here, I can do that. All right, so entering data. But look at this. Text or words is always aligned to the left, and numbers are always aligned to the right. Now, that's helpful. That's the default behavior, and it's helpful because sometimes out there in the working world, you get data and you have download it from some website or from some database. And if you ever see the default behavior not working this way, you know something might be a problem. If you ever see numbers aligned to the left, like text should be, it perhaps is considered text by Excel, and then it's hard to do calculations like the sum function will not add your numbers. So noticing this default behavior is just helpful. Now, one last thing before we end this first video and move on to the video 2, which is formulas. I just want to introduce you to a formula. Now, up here, if I click here and hit F2 to put that in edit mode, I can see there's an equal sign. All formulas start with equal signs. The sum function, a built-in function, and then a range of cells that then add. All right, so that was our first formula. Now notice that formula used the sum function. But now here I want to do a formula that multiplies. So I'm going to type an equal sign. As soon as you type an equal sign, you're telling Excel, hey, I'm doing some sort of formula or calculation. Now, I want to multiply 43 times 3, and I need the cell references. So I don't want you to do this B17. And that's the reason. Unless you're a spectacular typer, you can get into big trouble. And since in this class we'll have just formulas all the time, you'll be entering 100 cell references in a day. So the best way is not to type them, but to click on it with your mouse. So I get B17 times, and then click on it with your mouse. You can also use your arrow keys to hunt for cell references, and I'll show you that in the next video. But this is called the point and click method. You can either use your mouse or your arrow keys. All right, now I'm going to hit enter. 129. Again, the beauty of Excel is if this all of a sudden changes to 5, if I type a 5 there and hit enter, the formula updates. All right, a little introduction to Excel here. Next video, we will, video number 2, we'll have our basic introduction to formulas. All right, see you next video.